my mind, we showed what we're capable of, but we just have to be more consistent. It's simple as that. We're just inconsistent. We're consistently inconsistent, which cost us the game tonight. But our competitiveness was really good. We showed signs of what we have to do to have success, but we just have to improve, that's all.
You talk all the time about mental toughness. Is that an example of good mental toughness, I guess, being able to fight back to that point?
Yeah, I mean, you have to give our guys credit. We got smacked in the mouth, knocked down, wobbled 35 times, and then came back and made it a game. Which after what they've been through, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. You know, and give Dayton credit. They delivered a couple knockout punches and we didn't go down. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is we just have to be more consistent. That's all. We've got some qualities that can give people trouble. We just have to get them out in the open a little more consistently.
Keith, it felt like last night Pitt had a similar game against Duke, and Jeff Cable talked about moral victories and how it's not acceptable, and yet he sees signs that his team's getting better. So do you leave here encouraged by what happened tonight?
Well, I have to in order to make sure that my team continues to develop. But I'm never going to be happy when fans are happy with a loss at home. So in order for us to take the next step, we can't lose to Dayton at home. I don't care if they're number 7 in the country or not. So I heard Coach Capel's interview, and nobody's more competitive than me, so I have to agree with him. Now, just because you play close doesn't mean you're ready to take the next step. Right? Like we played close, but what does that mean? We'll find out what it means the next game, and the next game, and the next game. But we played better than we did the last 2 games. Now, half of the Rhode Island game we were pretty good. We just have to be more consistent. Part of that is just being less emotional and more mature. It's one thing you can notice about Dayton, and I know a lot of those kids because they're Ohio kids. We recruited Ivy Watson, I know Trey Landers. They just, Ryan Mike Sell, I know all those guys because they're Ohio kids. The thing that jumps out at you with them is high character, tough, but consistently mature. And I think, when we get to that point, then we'll be ready to win championships. They also have good players, don't get me wrong. They have pretty good players. But the gap isn't that much bigger. We've played them 3 games in a row now, and every game's been to the wire the last 3 minutes.
But it definitely helps to have a lottery pick, right?
Didn't hurt me any. Makes you a pretty good coach. He's a good coach, though. Like, he knows how to put them together. They got a lot of really good glue guys. But they have a few weaknesses too that we kind of took advantage of, right? Like little small at that power forward spot, right, which gave us an advantage, and then we were able to spread them a little bit at times, but we were just a little inconsistent.
Those weaknesses that you were able to take advantage of, is that stuff you were looking at coming in, or is this part of the learning process for when you see them again in
No,
February?
I kind of knew. I've seen them play quite a bit because they're on TV all the time. So, like when I watched the Kansas game, I thought that was our advantage. I thought we could go down in on them and score on them, right? Which, ironically, when I watched the Kansas game, I thought it was going to be go down into Mike Hughes on them. But we've gotten to the point where Marcus has gotten really good down in there, and that was a better advantage than Mike Hughes. Even though Mike got a lot of points, but a lot of those points were off of those other guys.
How close are you to turning that corner? Can that happen still this season, or is it something that takes more time than that?
Wow, that's a good question. So I can coach speak here. I can tell you the truth, and I don't know any other way but to be truthful. I think we have to develop to really become a championship quality team. We have enough to be good on certain nights, but we haven't shown that we can consistently be. But like, look, we played with every good team in the league. Like, even Rhode Island, you can look at the score and say they kicked our behinds, but not really. Right? have enough toughness and enough edge and enough size that if we just get a little more consistent, it could be this year. But we haven't shown through 20 games that we're consistent enough to be an NCAA tournament team yet. And really, that's on me. We just have to practice better. We have to just become more mature. That's really the whole thing. We just have to be less emotional.
Keith, you talked about the Kansas game. I feel like that was the last time Dayton was out rebounded until tonight. But I mean, is that what you wanted from what you saw in the glass? I mean, was that one of the better performances you've seen?
So why did we out rebound them? Any answers?
Offensive rebounds.
Missed a lot.
15
Why did we
offensive
offensive
rebound?
rebound them?
You missed too
Missing
many shots.
shots?
No, that's not why. When you get the ball down in, right, it puts pressure on the defense. Whether you drive it down in or you back it down in, that puts pressure on the defense, right? So now Obi's got to come and block on Marcus, and now Mike's open on the backside. We did it to him last year too a little bit. We rebounded pretty good at Dayton, right? And you know, part of that was Eric Williams, a good offensive rebounder last year, right? But we haven't been a great offensive rebounding team this year, right? So I think part of it is we threw the ball inside, got it at point blank, and it allowed us to get angles to get to the offensive rebounds. Who said we missed too many shots? I guess that's partly you miss enough, you can go get a few. Can we be a little more positive on that?
You turned them over. They had several turnovers. You had a lot of steals, but they shot a good percentage. Did you play good defense tonight?
That's an interesting question, Jerry. Did we play good defense tonight? We played inconsistently defensively, but again, I don't cover Dayton. I don't look at every statistic, but I do know that their assist to turnover ratio is the highest in the league, and I know they average 19 assists right a game. And I bet that they didn't have 17 turnovers too many times this year, right? So we did a good job of pressuring the basketball to get back into the game. But we didn't do a great job on field goal percentage defense, which, by the way, we're number 1 in the league on, right, in the conference games. So, like, defensively, we're closer than we are offensively. But we're still not, we're still pretty inconsistent defensively. I'll watch the tape and tell you how inconsistent, but not good enough to win championships.
Do you feel these kids are good enough or passionate enough to take the fire that they had in the second half and apply it on Sunday?
That's interesting. I mean, I think that the season's long, and some nights you just don't have it, right? Emotionally, right? And we were out a week. Had we played UMass before Rhode Island, we probably win. And we never came back. And I'm not going to look at, you know me, I don't make any excuses, but if we're not emotionally engaged, we're not going to win, right? But this is, what we're doing is not easy, right? We had to play, we played in Florida, we played in the Bahamas, we played in Akron, we played in Cleveland. Like, it's hard emotionally on kids. Like that's, and we were gone a week to St. Petersburg, we were gone a week to the Bahamas, we were gone a week to Rhode Island. That's tough.
So how do you handle that as a coach? Because it's
You
their
make
first
no
time with 3
excuses.
losses.
You make no excuses, and you have to hold them to a high standard. I mean, but you also have to understand, like the debate is like, how do you handle? How do you get guys to be emotionally engaged? Do you browbeat them into it? Do you massage them into it? I mean, I know one thing, if you don't feel good about yourself, you're not going to be, and you're not having fun, it's hard to really be up every game, right? So like a game like this isn't hard, Rhode Island isn't hard, but LaSalle will be hard. There'll be a lot of people there with the Super Bowl going on, right? So,
Coach, sorry, I apologize.
no, you can interrupt me anytime you want. My wife does it all the time.
You only had 2 tonight, but what has Macy Lawson brought to the program this season? How has he developed through 20 games this year?
I mean, Meso's a winning guy. If we play better in other spots, he'll play even better. You know, know, like if you look at Jalen Crutcher, he wasn't like this as a freshman first half of the season. He's improved. Mason will be one of those guys because he has winning mentality that he'll continue to improve. They did a good job on him, and then, you know, we went where we had to go to win the game, which didn't involve him as much offensively, but I mean, he helps us at both ends.
What do you think of the atmosphere in the building?
Good. It's a great building, man. This is a high-level building. It's as good as arena as I've been in. Really good. Now the question is, can we consistently get that amount of people to a Duquesne game without us having to win every damn game? So, look, I will say this, our student support's been much improved. It's been much improved. We've done a good job getting students to the game. And now we gotta get every one of those old Duquesne alums to come to the game. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? We need to come now. We'll never be as good as we should be until everybody comes to the game. You talk about engagement, emotionally being involved. It's hard on players when nobody's at the game, right? But it's hard on everybody.
And I've written about that a lot. And I'm from the old school when it was packed. And I don't know where they're at. I'll say it out loud. I don't know where they're at as a Pittsburgh guy. I don't know what they're waiting for. You're here.
So I try to be as fair as I can be, right? Like, do you blame them? In a way, like, can you really blame a guy that's been coming to Duquesne games for 30 years or 40 years, beating his head against the wall, right? But at some point, you know, not everybody can be a Pitt fan, right? Before, my daddy was here, they were all Duquesne fans. So maybe that switch could get flipped someday. Or maybe both teams become so good that, you know, Pittsburgh goes crazy with basketball again. Might as well, right? Can't be all hockey.
Keith, what was the decision to bring Roach in the start?
Well, that's pretty political the way you asked that. Appreciate that. I just think it's better for us.
So is that something that's good opinion?
I didn't say that, but I think it's better for us. It's better for us tonight. That's bad. Bad answer. It's the best answer I got for tonight. Look, and I like my cues, and my obligation is to make sure, right? Make sure that I'm a good parent. This is more than basketball. I have to be a good parent, or I won't feel good about myself.
A lot of stuff happened. Ultimately, they went 7 for 7 from the line. You went 7 for 13. Is that kind of the game?
So for most of the season, we've shot free throws pretty well, but we haven't shot them very well recently. But there's reasons. What do you think the main reason why we're not shooting free throws as well? I'm asking some tough questions for y'all.
Just go inside, get out of the
Come
guards.
on, guys are shooting them. When Marcus and Mike shoot a lot of free throws, our percentage will be a little less than when Sin, Tavian, Mace, and the rest of them shoot. Marcus improved, Mike's improved, but they're still not what I would call great free throw shooters. We practice them. Now people say, they must not practice them.